Hey guys, this is going to be a first impressions video about this knife. Why am I making a first impressions video? Well, you guys seem to like them. Honestly, I like to make them. And recently, I lost a knife. I got a knife and I sharpened it, I worked with it, and I lost it. And I never made a video about it, and I felt so bad. So I said, hey, I just got this knife, and I'm gonna make a first impressions video on it. Well, because it's a Spyderco, and it's one I wanted for a while now. Not a long time, but I have been looking at it, mainly because of the shape of the blade, and recently I got really curious about the steel. A few days ago, it was my birthday, and being the considerate person that I am, I just said, well, I do deserve a new knife. And this is the Spyderco Stretch 2, K390. That's why the odd shape for a stretch. Now this one comes with the usual Spyderco stuff, plus a card that tells you this is a high carbon, high performance steel blade and it might rust, and it came all buttered up, some sort of grease. And yeah, the usual Spyderco stuff in the usual Spyderco box. When I picked the knife up, I immediately noticed, hey, it feels a bit heavier. Now, I have a couple of Enduras, and it feels heavier than my Endura. I'm not sure about the weight. Maybe it's not heavier, but it feels heavier. And I think the Spyderco holes is also, it's also a bit bigger and more comfortable. And the action is great. Those were the first things I noticed. And you know what? For an FRN Spyderco, I can flick it without flicking my wrist, and it does not have side-to-side blade play. This is something I always look at. For example, this is my test work Endura. You see, I modify the spine to make it look more like the military, the police, the paramilitary, have a straight spine, unlike it comes with. The one it comes with. And I think this is just more practical, but this knife is also a bit modified on the inside. And I can't flick it out unless I flick my wrist, because I don't want side-to-side blade play. This one, without having side-to-side blade play, I can flick out. Not that that's something that I personally do a lot, not with backlock knives, but I think this is a nice detail. It moves pretty smooth, and it's easy to close with one hand. Now, the next thing I noticed was the fact that the screws are recessed into the handle. And I like that. See, for the Endura, you can see the screws sticking out a bit. And for this one, you can't. And maybe it's just my brain telling me, but I can actually feel the difference in hand. It feels much better. That was one detail that I liked. Now, I did tighten up all the body screws. The least I tightened one of them was quarter of a turn, maybe, the ones on the pocket clip. The other ones were a bit more, and this one was 1.5 turns, I would say. That's just something you might consider in case you get a new knife. Always check how tight or loose the screws are. I don't think you're going to lose them that well, but well, check it. Now, I like the fact that this one has the finger choil, and the handle feels a bit weird to me because I'm used to the Endura, the Delica, and now this feels thin because for 1 hour I've been playing around with this one. But for starters, it felt a bit weird, and it still does, but I do like the fact that it has a finger choil. Much like, I think, on the Caracara, finger choil really makes sense. And I don't know why they don't put it on the Endura, because holding this like this, it's not very comfortable, but if you're going to use the finger choil, well, this is comfortable, and this is comfortable. What I noticed was, compared to the Endura, these jimpings, they seem to be a bit less aggressive, a bit finer jimping. And it makes sense. If you're going to put your hand here, the jimping is going to press on the soft part of your hand. So it should be a bit finer, not as aggressive. And the action just gets me. For those of you who care, this is, for me, not really important. The blade is centered. A lot of people care about this. Personally, I don't. For me, FRN Spydercos are working knives or test knives or both. Everyday carry, yeah, because I like to test knives, I will carry something like this every day to test the steel. But other than that, I mean, I prefer G10 or micarta handles. But Spyderco's FRN are pretty good. Their Pacific Salt, the old version, was excellent. I thought just the best. Now, this Sage 5 lightweight, really good. This is my wife's knife. And that one's really impressive. Well, it impressed me. And this is great. I mean, for a working knife, I think this feels good in hand. A bit strange at first. Now, let's get to the blade. One thing that I do have a problem with is an asymmetrical grind. And this one does have it. Now, I've measured the edge angle. It's 20 degrees per side. Spyderco usually says they have a 17 degrees per side edge angle. And that's okay, because the edge is a bit thinner than you would have on your regular Endura or Delica. So it's going to be a better slicer. Even if it doesn't have a 17 degrees per side edge angle, it's still going to be a better slicer than a standard Delica or Endura. I like the fact that it's thinner, but I don't like the fact that it's asymmetrical. You see that? The edge on this side is double as wide as on this side. And this is something you can't really correct unless you put it to a grinder. And I don't have a grinder. I'm going to sharpen it to about 15 degrees per side, and this difference will be much more noticeable. At some point, I might convex it, and then, yeah, it'll go away. But I think for 140 euros, $140, you should get a knife with a symmetrical blade. Now, I've made more videos like this, and people kept saying, well, maybe you got a lemon. On my Sage, on the Para 3, on the Spyderco Siren, I always pointed out problems, and people kept saying, maybe you got a lemon. How many lemons can you get without actually owning a lemonade stand? I mean, come on. I think quality control is really low for Spyderco. Now, I don't like this, but for me, this is a test knife. I don't care. I cared more about the fact that my Spyderco Siren was actually symmetrical, but the edge angle wasn't. It's okay, I can correct that. But this is just going to be a test knife, so I don't care about it. However, for you, it might not be a test knife. You might actually want to get the Spyderco Stretch 2 because you like the model, because you love the steel and the model, and this is sort of a grail knife for you because this is a €140 knife. This is not some $30, $27, $32 knife. 140, 130. I expect better fit and finish and materials and everything, but also better fit and finish. You can see here, the edge is not sharpened all the way through. There's a big, well, I would say 2 millimeters. Part of the edge wasn't sharpened. Now for me, that's not a problem. Maybe you noticed on all of my test knives, work knives, I put a sharpening choil in there. I recently made a post about this, and a lot of people seem to have a problem with sharpening choils because stuff gets snagged in them. I never had that issue, or maybe never noticed it. I will pay some attention to it because you guys said it, but I never had an issue with that, and I do like to sharpen my knives, but I like to be done with it pretty quick. And then if I don't have a sharpening choil, I will create a recurve. So I always put a sharpening choil. So the fact that the edge is not sharpened all the way through is not really a problem for me. The asymmetrical grind is. And now, like I said, I checked the edge angle, 20 degrees per side. That's okay, especially if you have a thinner grind, and it's about 0.5 millimeters around here, about 0.3 millimeters near the tip. That's 20 thousandths of an inch and I think 12 thousandths of an inch thick. So that's fairly good. At a 20 degree per side edge angle, this is going to be a better slicer. Now for cutting cardboard, you will feel the difference. If you have a knife which has a 17 degree per side edge angle, a bit thicker, this is going to do a bit better because it's a bit thinner. It's weird the way things work out, but yeah, I like that. When it comes to sharpness, however, once again, not an issue for me. You know why? Because I don't like factory edges. The only factory edges I liked were with my Cold Steel CTS XHP models. Those came very sharp, and I've tested the American Lawman with the factory edge, and it seemed to hold that edge very well. It came back to shaving sharp just with using the strop as the only sharpening method. They were great, and this is I've sharpened the rest, the broken skull, but this one still has the factory edge, and I've worked with it, and it's still haven't sharpened it on stone. Maybe I've stropped it a long time ago, and it's still sharp. I mean, I don't know why I used that little piece of paper, but yeah, it's still sharp. Now let's try to do that with this brand new Spyderco Stretch 2. Same speed, same everything. And you don't have to believe me that this cold steel hasn't been sharpened. That it doesn't really matter. If I want to present this knife as being sharp and being able to slice paper, I'll just do it very quickly. But if I want to show you the problems, I'll show you the fact that it has a chip right here. And I don't know how that could, maybe they dropped the blade or something dinged the blade, but they never checked for quality. And then after that chip, which is right about here, so where my finger ends, the tip is, I can cut with it, but I think you and I will agree that this is not really a very sharp knife. This is regular printer paper. See, it's a bit thicker. I don't know if I take a Post-it. Stuff's gonna fall off that shelf any minute now. Here, I took a Post-it and I can cut through a Post-it. Regular printer paper. And you can see that's where you have your chip. For me, the condition in which the edge is right now doesn't matter. I'm probably going to use this a bit, and tomorrow or the day after tomorrow I will sharpen it. I don't like factory edges because they tend to be weaker. Maybe something will roll, and then that roll will turn into a bigger breakout in the edge. So at least if I put a clean edge, there's going to be less chance of that. And I can get to, I think that you need to sharpen your knife once or twice really well over it until you get to good steel. Some people say that's not true. Not all factory edges are burned and stuff like that. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. In my experience, you need 2, 3 good sharpenings, and then you get to what the steel really can do. And that's what I plan to do. I plan to put a sharpening tool on here, sharpen it, and then see how K390 does. I like the action. I like the way it feels in hand. Still a bit weird, but I'll get used to it really quickly. I don't like the asymmetrical grind, and I don't like the fact that it, for a $140 knife, I think we, the consumers, should get better quality. Oh, if you don't like Spyderco, don't buy it. Well, no, I like Spyderco. That's why I bought it. I'm really happy about this knife. I can't wait to sharpen it and to start cutting things. All the things that I usually cut, cardboard and plastic and some food, see how it oxidizes and acidizes. I'm very curious about it. I'm really happy about it. I still think that quality control is crap. For 140 euros, we should get something better. And for me, the only issue is the asymmetrical grind. For somebody who got this as an everyday carry, knife, and they know what they're getting themselves into, carbon steel and like this to sharpen and that and this, but they want it, and then they get this. Maybe if it's in somebody who deals with knives all the time, it's okay, but if it's a beginner, I think that's a bit disappointing, and we shouldn't. I mean, if you can get a Gonzo for $20 and they come with a good edge and good fit and finish, and they have an asymmetrical grind, that's $20. If you can get I mean, Spyderco has bird, and honestly, all the bird knives that I got had a better symmetry to their grinds than this one. I had 2 metal arcs, and this is my second Caracara, and they all had symmetrical grinds. Did I just not get the lemons there? Or the Spyderco, well, this one, the ZDP 189, is symmetrical. And I always count myself lucky when I get a Spyderco which has a symmetrical grind. I don't think that should be the case. A lot of people say, no, that's not true. You're wrong. Spydercos always come sharp. Whatever they say in their videos, that their edges are 17 degrees per side and so thick behind the edge, that's what it is. It's not. I showed you, and just take this as a public service announcement. I hope you liked the video, guys. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, post them down in the comment section. I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. Check the description for more details. And as always, I wish you all a great day.